Hey, this is Dee with Living on High Vibe, and today I wanted to do a little freestyle story time video about what's been going on around the world in the last 18 months, namely the mandates of COVID jabs and what I've learned from the whole ordeal, why I'm so happy I didn't take it. So back in 2021, when it started coming out, it just became this whole thing where I was feeling this is wrong in my gut feel. It's like super wrong. Why? It's just a unified propaganda. That's how it came across. The coercion, fear, do this or you have to do this to fit in, and then whole kind of things coming out like, well, we shouldn't, like the talking heads would have their philosophy of like, if you don't have it, you are not deserving to work, to live, to eat, to have a job. And I'm like, this is crazy. So I'm like, this is wrong. So I was like, if this is the spirit behind that, I'm not taking it. And moreover, it appears to be somewhere along the lines of the mark of the beast. I don't really think it's the mark of the beast, but it's the prototype of it. And it's kind of like a purging, choose your sides type of thing. So, and the thing that I learned from this is, if you really go by your gut feel and you are looking for the exit sign, you're going to find it. The higher self is going to direct you in the direction where you have to go. You might need to do some sacrifices, you might lose everything, you might need to start from scratch or below zero, okay? Like in my case, what happened was, I am originally from Eastern/Northern Europe, and I had lived in New York City for 10 years. I was pursuing a career in entertainment business, so it would be music and film. And I would be just before COVID started, last 6 months, I was able to not work a day job anymore after 10 years of hustle. And I was able to have little gigs here and there to make my ends meet, and was looking forward to next few years really starting to make decent money and decent living in New York as an artist. And then I realized that what was going on, what the spirit behind the New York state is, what the vibration there is on a spiritual level, and what the consensus of the population there is. I was like, I'm not fitting in here because my vibration has risen, and this is here. They're marching straight into this coercion, fear, paranoia type of energy, the manipulation. And I was like, I don't want to have anything to do with that. So I decided to go to my country, which is also not really high in a vibrational level. It's like 3.75, as they say, on like a density. So it's a very much of like meat and potatoes and a lot of alcohol and random drugs and people just being very me kind of mentality, and not really much going on an enlightened and spiritual level except for churches. But that's kind of like it's a precursor to the development on a higher level spiritually. But that's basically the only light that I saw there, that there are churches and people with really good hearts are trying to really make things work there. Other than that, it's just like people eating meat and potatoes and just being drunk all the time, vodka and the whole 9 yards of that. I was like, I'm not gonna stay here. So I was like, I need to go back to States, but I'm not going back to New York because of the whole imposing of this mandate stuff. So I decided I need to go to different states. So I was like, Florida, South Dakota, or Arizona. And I wound up getting a job over the internet after I settled for Arizona, and I am ever since here, and zero regrets. So basically what happened, the reason why I'm telling you this is because I had to give up a career. Almost everybody else who I know who stayed in New York had to get jabbed. I know people who work major gigs, they work on TV, they work on shows, they had to get jabbed, because right now I still might get notifications for some sort of crew job or acting audition, but you have to be jabbed and boosted. So even if I wanted to go to LA, that industry is over if you want to do it in that in that old-fashioned way, which would be entering the mainstream entertainment industry. So I had to lose the entire career. I had to put my stuff in, my stuff was in storage. I had to pack it in a van, and I had to drive it all the way from New York to Arizona by myself. I had to find a job over the internet, and I had to venture into completely new industry, which is right now the hotels, and learn everything from scratch. Nobody cares in the hotel industry that you have been on the front page of some newspaper, for example, which I've done, right? Nobody cares about if I played here and there, or people don't care that I was working on cruise ships as an entertainer, being to 50 plus countries, blah blah blah. Nobody cares. They're like, do you know this program? Do you know how hotel works? No? Okay, start from $16 an hour. Okay, so that was the first job. So I had to learn all of that. I had to break up with a whole bunch of people because people were really like, what, you're not taking it? And then I found a couple that didn't take, a couple of musicians. One of these musicians in New York City, he was not able to play gigs, but he got some sort of hookup at the club to play under a table at the Orthodox Jewish owned club somewhere in, I am not sure if it's even in the city, but he was able to get some regular gig there. And after that, he was busking in Subway, busking in Central Park, busking in parks. Is this life? Is this life? And he still is in thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in debt. And then this other lady, she married somebody who's an accountant, and then she was not able to work as a musician for quite some time until they lifted the mandates. And if she worked as a musician, she was working also busking in parks and playing somewhere under the table, which was like super unofficial, but it's insanity. And then I know a lot of people, everybody pretty much took the jab to be able to work on set, to be able to work, go on tour, to go play clubs, to go just about anywhere, even recording studios. Like, oh, are you jabbed? You're not jabbed? You're not allowed to record here. Oh yeah, I want to pay a ton of money. Okay, we don't care. You have to be show the paper in order to enter. Okay, so that's basically the situation. And so, for example, somebody who took the jab was this guy I was dating on and off for 6 years. And eventually, after that time of knowing somebody, you kind of really appreciate them and care about them. I saw him post at some comment on Instagram where he's like, if I stop posting here, then you need to worry, in response to somebody asking, how are you doing? And then he stopped posting. Then I found out that he had a stroke. Oh, and you need to know how he was in my face about taking the stupid thing. Somebody else I know had neurological issue, where whatever is called that syndrome where you get half your face paralyzed. She's like, no, I'm gonna take all my boosters, I'm gonna take everything. And the crazy thing is, like, she became like really strange in her head, the way she talked, etc. And eventually I had to break up this relationship. The guy who had stroke, he basically cut me off. Other people found out what I think about it. They're like, yeah, we're not going to be in touch with you. This is more important, yada yada. I was like, I'm so over it. And I moved here to Arizona. Made friends was this guy, and a wealthy guy, and he was also, like, he was not really, people are not really as dogmatic about these things here, for the most part, I think, at least. So he said, well, it would be cool if you took it, blah blah blah. And then he was religiously taking his shots and boosters. And then about 6 months ago in August, he was found in his vacation house, where it was like a timeshare for wealthy people, with his skull cracked. And apparently what happened was that he had cardiac arrest or some sort of incident that was of that nature, and he was dead. Went to bed normal, woke up in the morning, went in the bathroom, that's it. Found him in a pool of blood because apparently he hit his head real bad, and I was really shaken up by that. And then there's another guy up in Montreal in Canada, and he lined up for AstraZeneca as soon as possible. and he is a mentor of mine, but more of a financial type of matters. And he was like, yeah, but I'm afraid. And I'm like, seriously, man, you're practicing yoga, you talk about meditation, and then you're gonna take this thing now? But yeah, but I'm like, I'm 50 and I need to take it because I'm quote unquote older. I'm like, you're not older, you're not old at all. And he took it, and then he's been battling for at least last 6 months some sort of neurological issue where he doesn't feel his hands and feet, and extreme exhaustion. He calls it long COVID and posts videos about it on YouTube, and I'm like, it's so sad. I mean, I take his financial advice, I really respect and appreciate this guy, but when I think about these things, you know, he would be, for example, telling me, why are you gonna do a YouTube channel? You're not gonna make money of that. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I want to do something that fulfills me. I want to do a YouTube channel. If one person watches this, fine. I hope I can change your life. But after this, if I'm gonna tell him I'm gonna continue doing my YouTube channel and just fun where I can express myself, and he says, yeah, you're not gonna make money in it. I'm like, listen, you took this thing. I don't care what you say. My gut feel is more important. So 2 things that I takeaways from all these stories, and it's pushing 12 minutes soon, is trust your gut and do what your gut says. 2 is if you want to follow the path of your truth, you will find the way. The exit sign is going to present as you're going to be in the darkest moment of your life, and you're going to call it into your present, and aka manifest it into your life. So you are going to get the way, but the question is, are you ready to lose everything? Are you ready to lose to leave your family, leave your spouse, leave your place where you live, because that might be leave your job, leave your friends, and start somewhere else completely over in a new industry, because that is what I have to pay, and that might be what you have to pay. And I've been reading these horror stories or listening to these horror stories online where people talk about that. Well, yeah, I was coerced to take this, but my family wanted that I take it, and my job wanted me to take it, and I did, and I didn't know how I should move. Yeah. Well, then you are reaping what you sowed, because if you believe something in your gut, it is your responsibility as a human being to follow your own way and not be a pushover. So, yeah, it is what it is. It is sad. It's terrible to observe what's going on with people, and they have to go through different levels of suffering. But what I can say, or what can I say? Anyways, it's been a moment. This is just me ranting. It's my story time. If you like my channel, push the like button and subscribe, click the bell notification. So yeah, this is about it, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.